The United Nations Security Council chamber fell silent as Ethan Thompson stepped up to the podium. Earth's economy lay in ruins, decimated by alien trade manipulation. Humanity needed to take action, and they needed to do it now. Ethan surveyed the room, his eyes meeting those of anxious delegates from around the world. The weight of his appointment as Earth's representative to the Pakled Trade Federation pressed heavily on his shoulders. Global unemployment had skyrocketed, resources were scarce, and the future of human civilization hung in the balance. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. We stand at a crossroads. The Pakleds, with their advanced technology and control over interstellar trade routes, have brought our world to its knees. It's time we show them that humanity will not go quietly into the night. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Ethan continued, outlining the objectives of his mission. Negotiate fair trade agreements, secure vital resources for Earth, and protect human interests in the galactic economy. The delegates listened intently, their faces a mix of hope and determination. As the emergency session concluded, Ethan was escorted to a waiting spacecraft, a marvel of human engineering designed for his journey to the Pakled homeworld. During the transit, he immersed himself in studying Pakled culture, language, and negotiation tactics. The ship's AI, a cutting-edge system developed specifically for this mission, provided strategic analysis of past failed negotiations. Ethan pored over the data, developing a plan to exploit perceived Pakled weaknesses. He knew that their apparent simplicity masked a cunning intelligence, and he would need every advantage to succeed. Upon arrival at the Pakled space station, Ethan was greeted by Rieger, the lead Pakled negotiator. The alien's bulbous features and simplistic speech belied a shrewd mind, and Ethan steeled himself for the challenge ahead. Rieger's initial demands were outrageous, threatening Earth's very sovereignty. Ethan recognized the subtle manipulation tactics at play, realizing that the Pakled's perceived lack of intelligence was a carefully crafted facade. Undeterred, Ethan presented a counteroffer, leveraging Earth's unique resources. The Pakleds rejected it outright, imposing harsh trade sanctions on Earth in retaliation. Ethan returned to his ship, his mind racing with possibilities. In a secure communication with the UN Security Council, Ethan received authorization to implement Operation Turnabout, a covert plan to disrupt the Pakled trade monopoly. He quickly assembled a team of Earth's finest, hackers, engineers, and covert operatives, each an expert in their field. As the team infiltrated Pakled communication networks, gathering crucial intelligence on trade routes and vulnerabilities, Ethan formulated a new negotiation strategy. He requested a second meeting with Rieger, prepared to take a more aggressive stance backed by the threat of human intervention in Pakled-controlled sectors. Meanwhile, the UN mobilized Earth's military forces, positioning fleets near strategic trade hubs as a show of strength. The stage was set for humanity to take unprecedented action in galactic affairs, with the fate of Earth's economy hanging in the balance. Ethan stood on the bridge of his ship, gazing out at the stars. He knew that the coming days would determine the future of his species. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but now they would push back. It was time for humans to take action, and Ethan Thompson was ready to lead the charge. Ethan Thompson strode into the conference room aboard the neutral space station, his steps echoing in the cavernous chamber. The gas giant loomed outside the viewport, its swirling storms a fitting backdrop for the tempest of negotiations about to unfold. Rieger sat at the opposite end of the table, his bulbous features impassive. Ethan took his seat, placing a datapad before him. "Let's begin," Ethan said, his voice firm. "I have new information that changes everything." He tapped the datapad, projecting a holographic display of trade routes and economic data. Rieger's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. "This evidence shows systematic manipulation of Earth's economy through your trade practices," Ethan explained, highlighting specific instances with a gesture. "We propose a new agreement that allows Earth to establish its own routes in these sectors." He outlined the details, watching Rieger's reactions closely. The Pakled negotiator's expression remained neutral, but Ethan detected a slight twitch in his left eye. Rieger leaned back in his chair. This Big change. Need consult leaders? We stop now. Talk later. Ethan nodded, knowing this delay was part of the plan. As Rieger lumbered out of the room, Ethan activated his secure communicator. "Marcus, you're clear to proceed," he whispered. Millions of kilometers away, Marcus Robertson adjusted his maintenance uniform and nodded to his team. They moved through the bustling Pakled trade hub, blending seamlessly with the various alien species scurrying about their business. Marcus approached a central computer terminal, his heart racing. He inserted a small device, disguised as a standard cleaning tool, into a port. Lines of code flashed across his retinal implant as the human-designed virus began its work. Suddenly, a security drone rounded the corner. Marcus froze, his hand inches from the terminal. The drone hovered, its sensors sweeping the area. Marcus held his breath, willing his body to remain still. After an agonizing moment, the drone moved on. Marcus exhaled slowly, removed the device, and signaled his team. They dispersed, their mission complete. In another sector of space, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, flagship of Earth's assembled fleet. The ships hung in formation, a silent testament to humanity's grit. "Status report," Hawkins ordered. "All ships holding position, Captain," her XO responded. "We're just outside Pakled territory. They've noticed us, but haven't responded." Hawkins nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Good, let's keep it that way. We're here to make a point, not start a war." Back on Earth, Dr. Alicia Reyes burst into the UN Security Council Situation Room clutching a tablet. "I've got it," she exclaimed, her face flushed with excitement. "These minerals..." She displayed a complex molecular structure. "They're essential for Pakled biology and technology, and we have them in abundance." The room erupted in murmurs as the implications sank in. A senior official quickly relayed the information to Ethan's team. As negotiations resumed, Ethan felt a surge of confidence. Rieger settled into his chair, his expression guarded. "We've considered your proposal," Rieger began. "Cannot accept. Too much risk for Pakled trade." Ethan leaned forward. "I understand your concerns, Rieger, but I think you'll find our new offer compelling." He detailed the mineral trade agreement, watching as Rieger's expression shifted from dismissive to intrigued. "How you know this?" Rieger demanded, his simple facade slipping. "That's not important," Ethan replied smoothly. "What matters is the mutual benefit, fair trade practices, access to advanced technology, and a steady supply of these essential minerals. It's a win-win scenario." Rieger fell silent, his internal struggle evident. Ethan pressed his advantage, outlining the potential for cooperation and growth. As they delved into the specifics, alarms blared throughout the station. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a news feed from Earth. Ethan's blood ran cold as he saw the Kenya space elevator under attack. "What is meaning of this?" Rieger demanded, rising from his chair. Ethan's mind raced. This wasn't part of the plan. I don't know," he stammered, genuine shock in his voice. The feed showed Earth's orbital defenses engaging the attackers. Explosions bloomed in the upper atmosphere as the battle raged. Ethan's communicator chirped urgently. He answered, listening intently to the encrypted message. His expression hardened as he turned back to Rieger. "It seems some of your people are intent on escalating this conflict," Ethan said, his voice low and dangerous. "But I think we both know that path leads to mutual destruction." Rieger's eyes darted between Ethan and the battle footage. "Not Pakled leadership decision," he insisted. "Rogue faction maybe. We not want war." Ethan saw the fear in Rieger's eyes, recognizing the precarious position they both found themselves in. He took a deep breath, knowing his next words could determine the fate of two civilizations. "Then let's end this here and now," Ethan proposed, gesturing to the agreement displayed before them. "Sign this treaty and we can work together to stop this madness before it spirals out of control." Rieger hesitated, his hand hovering over the document. The sounds of battle echoed from the holographic display, a stark reminder of what failure would mean. In that moment, as two species stood on the brink of either cooperation or conflict, the future of Earth's economy and its place in the galactic community hung in the balance. Ethan held his breath, waiting for Rager's decision, acutely aware that time was running out for a peaceful solution. As Rager's hand hovered over the document, the station's communication system crackled to life. A frantic voice filled the chamber, drowning out the sounds of battle from the holographic display. Attention all personnel. Earth's space elevator in Kenya is under attack. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Ethan's blood ran cold. He locked eyes with Regor, whose expression had shifted from hesitation to shock. "I swear we had no knowledge of this," Ethan said, his voice firm despite the turmoil in his gut. "But we need to act now, before this escalates further." Rager nodded slowly, his bulbous features contorting with what Ethan interpreted as concern. "Agree. Must stop conflict. Too much at stake." As they began to discuss potential solutions, Ethan's communicator chirped again. He excused himself and stepped aside to take the call. "Thompson here," he said in a low voice. "Ethan, it's General Young from the Security Council. We've activated emergency protocols. Captain Hawkins and her fleet have engaged Pac-led ships near Earth's orbit." Ethan's mind raced. "Engaged? You mean we're in open combat?" "Affirmative, but listen closely. Hawkins has strict orders to disable, not destroy. We're showcasing our capabilities while minimizing casualties. It's a delicate balance, but so far it's working." Ethan processed this information, his gaze drifting to Rigor, who was examining the treaty document with newfound intensity. "Understood, General. I'll do what I can from here." He rejoined Rigor at the table, his posture radiating purpose. "Rigor, I've just received word that our forces are engaging Pac-led ships near Earth, but I want you to know that we're taking every precaution to avoid loss of life. We want to end this conflict, not escalate it." Rhaegor's eyes widened. "Your ship's strong?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, but that's not the point. We don't want to fight. We want to trade, to cooperate. Remember those minerals we discussed? The ones crucial for Pac-led biology and technology? We have them in abundance, and we're willing to make them a cornerstone of our trade agreement." Rhaegor leaned forward, intrigued. "How you know this?" "We have brilliant scientists, Rhaegor. Just as your people excel in trade and technology, we have our own strengths. This is why cooperation makes sense for both of us." As they delved deeper into the specifics of the trade proposal, alarms blared throughout the station once more. The holographic display flickered, showing a new set of data streams. Ethan's communicator buzzed. He answered to find Marcus Robertson's face on the screen, the sound of chaos in the background. "Sir, we've successfully activated the disruptive tech. Pac-led communication networks are experiencing widespread failures. Their trade operations are in disarray." Ethan struggled to keep his expression neutral as he processed this news. He thanked Marcus and ended the call, turning back to Rhaegor. "It seems there are factions on both sides escalating this conflict," Ethan said carefully, "but I believe we have an opportunity here to put an end to it." Rhaegor's expression had grown serious. "Ethan, must tell truth. Not all Pac-led want this fight. There is a faction, led by Admiral Zork. They push for dominance, no compromise." Ethan leaned forward, his voice low and intense. "Then let's work together to stop them. A joint operation, humans and Pac-leds united against those who would drive us to war. We can neutralize this hardline faction and establish a new era of cooperation between our species." Rhaegor considered this proposal, his internal struggle evident. Finally, he nodded. "Agree. Better to join than fight, but how we do this?" As Ethan began outlining his plan, his communicator chirped once more. This time, it was Dr. James Rodriguez, his face alight with excitement. "Ethan, we've done it. My team has reverse-engineered the captured Pac-led devices. We've uncovered critical vulnerabilities in their systems. I'm transmitting the data to you and Captain Hawkins now." Ethan thanked him and turned back to Rhaegor, a new light in his eyes. "Rhaegor, I believe we now have everything we need to make this work. Together, we can end this conflict and build something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. Rhaegar nodded, his tenacity visibly strengthening. Yes, we make plan. Stop Zork, stop war, begin new era. As they delved into the details of their joint operation, Ethan couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Despite the chaos unfolding around them, here in this room, two species were coming together to forge a path toward peace. Outside the viewport, the gas giant continued its eternal dance, its swirling storms a reminder of the turbulent times they faced. But as Ethan and Rhaegar worked tirelessly to craft their plan, it also served as a symbol of the vast possibilities that lay before them, if only they could navigate the storm. In Earth's orbit, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The human fleet had taken up defensive positions around key orbital installations, a shield against potential Pac-led aggression. "Status report," Hawkins called out, her voice steady despite the tension thrumming through the ship. "All ships in position, Captain," her XO responded. "Pac-led vessels are maintaining distance. No further hostile actions detected." Hawkins nodded, allowing herself a small moment of satisfaction. Their earlier engagement had proven effective. Human ships had disabled several Pac-led vessels with precision strikes, demonstrating their capabilities without causing unnecessary destruction. It was a delicate balance, but one they had managed to strike. "Maintain current positions," Hawkins ordered. "Keep weapons hot but do not fire unless fired upon. We're here to defend, not provoke." As her crew carried out her orders, Hawkins' mind raced with the implications of their situation. Humanity's first extraterrestrial conflict, it was a turning point in history, and she was at the center of it. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon her shoulders, but she stood tall, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Back on Earth, the UN Security Council chamber was a hive of activity. Diplomats and military officials argued vehemently, their voices rising above the constant hum of incoming reports and communications. "We should strike now while we have the advantage," one general insisted, his fist pounding the table. "And risk all-out war?" a diplomat countered. "We must give Thompson's plan a chance to succeed." At the head of the table, the Secretary General raised her hands for silence. "We've voted to proceed with Thompson's strategy," she reminded them, "but we'll maintain readiness for full-scale conflict if diplomacy fails. Now let's focus on supporting our people in the field." In a high-security lab halfway across the world, Dr. Alicia Reyes worked feverishly, her team a blur of activity around her. Holographic displays showed complex molecular structures spinning in the air as synthesizers hummed in the background. "How close are we?" Reyes asked, not looking up from her work. "First batch is at 87% purity, Doctor," one of her assistants reported. "We should have a viable sample within the hour." Reyes nodded, a determined smile playing at her lips. These synthesized minerals, crucial to Pac-led biology, could be the key to securing lasting peace. It was a gesture of good faith, yes, but also a powerful bargaining chip. As she watched the synthesis process inch closer to completion, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in humanity's resourcefulness. Meanwhile, deep in Pac-led territory, Marcus Robertson and his team moved silently through the shadows of a massive military installation. Their adaptive camouflage technology rendered them nearly invisible as they gathered crucial intelligence on Admiral Zork's faction. Robertson's retinal display flashed with incoming data: troop movements, weapon stockpiles, communication frequencies. Each piece of information could prove vital in the coming confrontation. As they prepared to infiltrate the command center, Robertson caught sight of a group of Pac-led officers engaged in heated discussion. He adjusted his audio sensors, picking up fragments of their conversation. Zork's plan is too risky. Humans are stronger than we thought. Need to consider alternatives." Robertson allowed himself a small smile. Descent within the ranks, that could work to their advantage. He signaled his team to proceed, their movements fluid and practiced as they delved deeper into the heart of Pac-led military power. Back on the neutral space station, Ethan Thompson and Rhaegar put the finishing touches on their plan. The holographic display between them showed a complex web of movements and countermoves, a dance of diplomacy and calculated action. "It's risky," Ethan admitted, studying the projected outcomes. "But if we succeed, we could prevent years of conflict and lay the groundwork for a new era of cooperation." Rhaegar nodded, his usual simple demeanor replaced by a look of dogged perseverance. "Yes, must take risk for both our peoples." As they prepared to set their plan in motion, Ethan couldn't help but feel the weight of history on his shoulders. The next few hours would determine the course of human-Pakled relations for generations to come. Success meant peace and prosperity. Failure could lead to a war that would devastate both species. With a deep breath, Ethan opened a secure channel to Earth. "This is Thompson. We're ready to proceed. Initiate Operation Unity." As the order went out, rippling across space to set in motion a complex series of events, Ethan and Rhaegar shared a look of understanding. Whatever the outcome, they had taken the first step toward a shared future, one where humans and Pakled stood together against the forces that would tear them apart. The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo across the stars. As both species marshaled their forces and prepared for the challenges ahead, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, poised on the edge of either a new golden age or a descent into interstellar conflict. As both species marshaled their forces and prepared for the challenges ahead, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, poised on the edge of either a new golden age or a descent into interstellar war. Ethan Thompson's voice cut through the tension-filled air of the command center. "Operation Unity is a go. All units, commence your assigned tasks." Rhaegar nodded, his bulbous features set with drive as he relayed orders to his own operatives. The joint human-Pakled operation to neutralize Admiral Zork's faction had begun. Screens flickered to life around them, displaying real-time data from various fronts. Ethan's eyes darted between the displays, tracking the progress of multiple teams. "Robertson team, what's your status?" he asked, tapping his earpiece. Marcus Robertson's voice came through, low and focused. "We're in position, sir. Commencing sabotage operations now." On one of the screens, Ethan watched as red dots representing key Pakled military installations began to blink out one by one. Marcus and his team moved with surgical precision, disabling communication relays and weapon systems, effectively crippling Admiral Zork's ability to coordinate his forces. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, her posture rigid as she addressed her crew. "We've received new orders. Prepare for diversionary tactics against Admiral Zork's fleet. Remember, our job is to create chaos and draw attention. Hit hard, move fast." The human fleet sprang into action, executing a series of complex maneuvers. Hawkins watched with a mixture of pride and tension as her ships darted between the larger, less agile Pakled vessels. Weapons fire lit up the void of space, a deadly dance of light and shadow. "Deploy the virus," Hawkins ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Her tactical officer nodded, initiating the transmission of Dr. Rodriguez's newly developed virus. As it spread through the enemy fleet, Pakled ships began to falter, their systems going haywire. Back on Earth, Dr. Alicia Reyes stood in her lab, watching as the synthesizers hummed their final notes. A small vial of iridescent liquid emerged, glowing softly under the harsh laboratory lights. "We did it," she breathed, carefully lifting the vial. "The mineral synthesis is complete." Her team erupted into cheers, but Reyes remained focused. She secured the vial in a reinforced container and handed it to a waiting courier. "Get this to the transport ship immediately. This could be the key to ending this conflict." As the courier rushed out, Reyes turned back to her team. "Now, let's see if we can refine the process further. Our work here is a long way to go." In Pakled space, Admiral Zork paced the bridge of his flagship, his face contorted with rage. Reports of failures and malfunctions flooded in from all sides. His carefully laid plans were unraveling before his eyes. "Enough!" he roared, thumping his hand on a control panel. If we cannot defeat them through conventional means, we will strike at their heart. Prepare an attack on the Earth-Moon base. His officers scrambled to comply, redirecting what remained of their functional fleet towards Earth's moon. On the lunar surface, Colonel Jack Harper received the alert of incoming hostile forces. A grim smile played across his features as he activated the base's defense systems. "Let's see how they like a taste of their own medicine," he muttered, watching as the newly installed weapons, developed from reverse-engineered Pac-led technology, hummed to life. The void above the moon's crater-pocked surface erupted in a spectacular light show as Zork's ships engaged with the base's defenses. Harper's smile widened as he watched the Pac-led vessels fall back, clearly unprepared for the level of resistance they encountered. In the neutral space station's command center, Ethan Thompson watched the events unfold with a growing sense of opportunity. He turned to Rieger, his eyes alight with a new idea. "Rieger, I think it's time we change the game entirely," he said. "We need to speak directly to your people, bypass the traditional channels." Rieger's eyes widened as Ethan outlined his plan. It was bold, perhaps even reckless, but the potential payoff was enormous. "It could work," Rieger agreed, his voice filled with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "But risky, very risky." "Sometimes the greatest risks yield the greatest rewards," Ethan replied, already moving to set the plan in motion. Within hours, their message was ready. Using the compromised Pac-led communication networks, they broadcast their joint address across the galaxy. Ethan's face appeared on screens in countless Pac-led homes and public spaces, with Rieger by his side. "People of the Pac-led Empire," Ethan began, his voice clear and resolute. "I come to you not as an enemy, but as a potential ally. The conflict that has erupted between our species is unnecessary, and based on the machinations of a few who seek power for themselves at the cost of your lives and prosperity." Rieger then spoke, his words carefully chosen. "Fellow Pac-leds, humans offer cooperation, not subjugation. They have resources we need, knowledge we can benefit from. Admiral Zork's path leads only to destruction." As their broadcast continued detailing the human offer of trade and cooperation, unrest began to spread through Pac-led worlds. Civilians took to the streets, their voices rising in a call for peace and collaboration. The tide had turned. Admiral Zork's support crumbled as key members of his faction, seeing the writing on the wall, defected to the moderate side. They brought with them crucial intelligence about Zork's final stronghold. Marcus Robertson received the intel with grim satisfaction. "Time to end this stuff," he told his team as they prepared for their final infiltration. Moving with practiced stealth, they penetrated the heart of Zork's command center. In a swift, decisive operation, they located and secured the Admiral himself, bringing an end to the hardline faction's resistance. As news of Zork's capture spread, celebrations erupted across Earth and moderate Pac-led worlds. In the neutral space station, Ethan Thompson and Rieger began the arduous but hopeful task of drafting a comprehensive peace agreement. The document they created would reshape the galactic landscape, establishing fair trade practices, technological exchange programs, and a framework for future cooperation between humans and Pac-leds. As Ethan reviewed the final draft, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at how far they had come. Humanity had faced its first extraterrestrial conflict and emerged not just intact, but as a significant player on the interstellar stage. The implications of these events were not lost on Earth's leaders. The UN Security Council convened in an emergency session to discuss humanity's new role in galactic affairs. "We stand at a crossroads," the Secretary General addressed the Assembly. "Our actions in the coming days and weeks will shape the course of human history for generations to come." As the Council debated, one thing became clear. Earth needed a new approach to interstellar relations. The proposal for an Interstellar Relations Bureau gained traction, with Ethan Thompson's name at the top of the list to lead it. In orbit, Captain Sarah Hawkins watched as her fleet began joint training exercises with moderate Pac-led ships. The sight of human and Pac-led vessels maneuvering in tandem filled her with a complex mix of emotions: pride, hope, and a touch of apprehension for the challenges that lay ahead. On Earth, Dr. Alicia Reyes stood before a mixed team of human and Pakled scientists, outlining their first joint research project. By combining our knowledge and resources, she explained, gesturing to a holographic display of a new propulsion system, we can achieve breakthroughs that neither of our species could manage alone. As the team began their work, the air hummed with excitement and possibilities. This collaboration marked the beginning of a new era of scientific advancement, one that promised to push the boundaries of what both species thought possible. Ethan Thompson, newly appointed director of the Interstellar Relations Bureau, stood at the window of his office, gazing out at the stars. Earth's sudden rise to prominence had not gone unnoticed in the wider galactic community. Reports were coming in of other alien species taking a keen interest in humanity's affairs. He knew that the challenges ahead would be complex and often unpredictable. But as he turned back to his desk, littered with reports and proposals for Earth's expanding role in galactic politics, Ethan couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. Now it was time to see where this new path would lead them. Ethan Thompson's gaze shifted from the stars to the holographic display hovering above his desk. The image showed a complex network of diplomatic channels and emerging alliances, with Earth at the center. As the newly appointed director of the Interstellar Relations Bureau, Ethan found himself at the heart of humanity's expanding role in galactic affairs. Director Thompson, we've received a response from the Zoltan Confederation. His assistant's voice chimed through the intercom. Ethan's pulse quickened. The Zoltans, known for their advanced technology and isolationist tendencies, had been a priority target for diplomatic outreach. Put it through, he said, straightening his posture. The holographic display shifted, revealing the stern visage of Ambassador Zira, the Zoltan's chief diplomatic officer. Her translucent, energy-based form pulsed with an inner light as she spoke. Greetings, Director Thompson. The Zoltan High Council has considered your proposal for diplomatic talks. We are intrigued by humanity's recent advancements and your alliance with the Pakleds. The Council has agreed to a preliminary meeting. Ethan maintained a neutral expression, but inside, he felt a surge of excitement. This was a crucial step toward solidifying Earth's position in the galactic community. We appreciate your openness, Ambassador Zira. I look forward to our discussions. As the transmission ended, Ethan immediately began preparations for the upcoming talks. The stakes were high. An alliance with the Zoltans could provide Earth with access to advanced technologies and strengthen its defensive capabilities. Meanwhile, in a state-of-the-art research facility, Dr. Alicia Reyes stood before a mixed team of human and Pakled scientists. The air crackled with anticipation as she unveiled their latest breakthrough. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Quantum Full Drive, Reyes announced, gesturing to a sleek, pulsing engine core behind her. By harnessing the principles of quantum entanglement and spatial folding, we've created a propulsion system that can reduce interstellar travel time by a factor of 10. Dr. Mira, her Pakled counterpart, stepped forward. His bulbous features were set in an expression of pride. This achievement is result of our species working together. We are strong together. As the team erupted in cheers, a priority message flashed on Reyes's comm device. It was from the Interstellar Relations Bureau. The Chindi, a mysterious and powerful race, had expressed interest in acquiring the new propulsion technology. Reyes felt a mix of pride and apprehension. Their work was already reshaping the balance of power in the galaxy. In Earth's orbit, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, her flagship for the upcoming expedition. The ship hummed with energy as the newly installed Quantum Fold Drive came online. All systems check out, Captain, her first officer reported. We're ready to embark on our maiden voyage. Hawkins nodded, her eyes fixed on the display showing the vast expanse of space before them. Helm set course for the Andromeda Arm. Let's see what this new drive can do. The horizon surged forward, stars blurring into streaks of light as they entered Quantum Fold. Hawkins felt a thrill of excitement. They were about to map regions of space no human had ever seen before. Days into their journey, long-range sensors detected an anomaly. As they approached, a massive structure came into view, an ancient space station of clearly alien design. "My God," Hawkins breathed, taking in the station's intricate, spiraling architecture. "Get me a team ready for boarding and contact Earth. They're going to want to know about this." Back on Earth, Dr. James Rodriguez sat in a dimly lit lab, surrounded by holographic displays and humming servers. He watched with intense focus as lines of code scrolled across the screens. "Initiating final integration sequence," he murmured, fingers flying across the haptic interface. The central display flickered, then stabilized, showing a pulsing geometric shape. "System online," a smooth, genderless voice announced. "Atlas is now fully operational." Rodriguez leaned back, a mixture of awe and trepidation on his face. The Advanced Tactical Logistics and Analysis System represented a quantum leap in artificial intelligence, incorporating both human and Pakled technological principles. Its potential for enhancing Earth's defenses and diplomatic capabilities was enormous, but so were the risks. In a secure facility beneath the lunar surface, General Jack Harper addressed the first graduating class of the United Earth Space Force. The newly minted officers stood at attention, their uniforms crisp and eyes forward. "You're the vanguard of a new era," Harper declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The UESF represents humanity's unified presence in space. You will be our first line of defense against threats and our ambassadors to new civilizations." As the ceremony concluded, Harper received an urgent communication. Reports were coming in of attacks on joint human-Pakled facilities. The perpetrators, a terrorist group composed of Admiral Zork's former hardline faction. Harper's eyes sharp. The peace they'd fought so hard to achieve was under threat. "Mobilize our rapid response units," he ordered his aide, "and get me a secure line to the Pakled Defense Force. We'll need to coordinate our efforts." In a shadowy corner of the Orion Arm, Marcus Robertson and his covert ops team approached a nondescript asteroid. Intelligence suggested it housed a base for interstellar pirates preying on human and Pakled trade routes. "Remember, we're here to gather intel, not engage," Robertson whispered to his team as they prepared to breach the base's outer airlock. "In and out, clean and quiet." As they infiltrated deeper into the facility, Robertson's eyes widened. The base was a hive of activity, with various alien species working together to plan raids. But something else caught his attention: schematics for what looked like Zoltan weapon systems. This was bigger than simple piracy. Across the galaxy, in the laboratories of Dr. Alicia Reyes, a startling discovery was unfolding. Reyes stared at the holographic model of the mineral crucial to Pakled biology, her mind racing with the implications of what she was seeing. "The energy output is off the charts," she muttered, running another simulation. "If we can harness this, it could revolutionize our power generation capabilities." As Reyes prepared to report her findings, she hesitated. The potential for this discovery to spark a galactic resource rush was all too real. They would need to tread carefully. In his office at the Interstellar Relations Bureau, Ethan Thompson received the reports from all fronts: the ancient space station, the Atlas AI, the UESF's formation, the terrorist attacks, Robertson's intel, and Reyes's discovery. Each development brought new opportunities and new dangers. Thompson's fingers flew across his console as he began drafting a proposal for an Interstellar Resource Management Council. It was a bold move, but necessary to prevent conflicts over the newly discovered mineral's potential. As he worked, a priority alert flashed across his screen. Long-range sensors had detected an object of immense size approaching the edges of known space. Initial data suggested it dwarfed anything encountered before. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the weight of the situation settling on his shoulders. Humanity had taken its place on the galactic stage, but the challenges ahead were greater than ever. As he prepared to brief Earth's leaders on these developments, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The unknown object continued its approach, a silent harbinger of change in a galaxy already in flux. Whatever it was, its arrival promised to reshape the delicate balance of power that Earth had worked so hard to establish. The unknown object continued its approach, a silent harbinger of change in a galaxy already in flux. Whatever it was, its arrival promised to reshape the delicate balance of power that Earth had worked so hard to establish. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Interstellar Relations Bureau. Ethan Thompson's eyes widened as he processed the incoming data. "It's accelerating," he muttered, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. "And it's heading straight for the heart of our territory." Within minutes, he had established a secure connection with General Jack Harper. The general's face appeared on the screen, his expression grave. "I've seen the data, Thompson. We're mobilizing the UESF as we speak." "Do we have any idea what we're dealing with?" Ethan asked, his mind racing through possible scenarios. Harper shook his head. "Not yet, but whatever it is, it's big. Really big. I've ordered Captain Hawkins to lead the Vanguard fleet. With that new propulsion system of hers, she should be able to reach it before anyone else." On board the UES Horizon, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood at the helm, her crew a flurry of activity around her. "Quantum fold drive at maximum capacity," her chief engineer reported. "We're ready to jump on your command, Captain." Hawkins nodded, her eyes fixed on the monitor showing the vast expanse of space before them. "Engage," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension coursing through her. The ship lurched forward, stars blurring into streaks of light as they entered Quantum Fold. The journey that would have taken weeks now passed in a matter of hours. As they emerged from the fold, the object came into view. "My God," Hawkins breathed, taking in the sight before her. It wasn't a weapon or an attack ship as they had feared. It was an Ark, a massive vessel easily dwarfing anything in Earth's fleet. "We're being hailed," her communications officer announced. Hawkins straightened her uniform. "On screen," she commanded. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike any Hawkins had ever seen. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. "Greetings," the being spoke, its voice resonating with a strange musical quality. "I am Zal Thor, representative of the Archon people. We come seeking sanctuary." Back on Earth, Ethan Thompson found himself thrust into the most crucial diplomatic situation of his career. The UN Security Council had convened an emergency session, and all eyes were on him as he relayed the information from Captain Hawkins. "The Archons are refugees," Ethan explained, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They're fleeing from an unstoppable force known as the Devourers, a machine race that consumes entire civilizations for resources." The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, each representative trying to make themselves heard. Ethan raised his hands, calling for silence. "There's more," he continued. "The Archons possess technology far beyond our understanding, including a device capable of generating wormholes for instantaneous travel across vast distances." In the ensuing debate, a consensus emerged. Earth would offer sanctuary to the Archons in exchange for their technological knowledge, particularly the wormhole device. Meanwhile, in her research facility, Dr. Alicia Reyes and her PAC-led colleague Dr. Mira pored over the initial data from the Archon ship. "The energy requirements for this wormhole device are staggering," Reyes muttered, her brow furrowed in concentration. Dr. Mira nodded, his bulbous features set in a thoughtful expression. "Yes, beyond Earth's capabilities, but—" He trailed off, his eyes lighting up with sudden inspiration. Reyes caught his meaning immediately. "The PAC-led mineral," she breathed. "If we can harness its newly discovered properties—" "We make big energy," Mira finished, a rare smile spreading across his face. "We make wormhole work." As scientists raced to unlock the secrets of Archon technology, Marcus Robertson and his covert ops team found themselves embarking on a series of high-stakes missions across the galaxy. Their objective? Secure large quantities of the crucial PAC-led mineral. Remember, Robertson briefed his team as they prepared to infiltrate a heavily guarded mining facility. "We're up against unknown alien defenses. Stay alert, stay quiet, and above all, stay alive." The team moved with practiced precision, their advanced stealth technology rendering them nearly invisible. But as they reached the mineral storage vault, they encountered unexpected resistance. Zoltan energy weapons. Robertson's second-in-command hissed as bolts of pure energy sizzled past them. Robertson's mind raced. The Zoltans weren't supposed to be here. As he formulated a new plan, he couldn't shake the feeling that this complication was just the tip of a very large, very dangerous iceberg. His suspicions were confirmed when he returned to Earth to debrief. The Zoltan Confederation had broken off diplomatic talks and was mobilizing its military forces. The arrival of the Archons and their advanced technology had upset the delicate balance of power, and the Zoltans were not taking it lying down. In response to this new threat, General Harper proposed a bold plan. "We need to form an alliance," he declared in a high-level strategy meeting. "Humans, moderate Pakleds, and Archons. It's the only way we stand a chance against both the Zoltans and the approaching Devourers." The task of negotiating this unprecedented alliance fell to Ethan Thompson. For weeks, he worked tirelessly, shuttling between Earth, Pakled Prime, and the Archon Ark ship. He navigated cultural misunderstandings, soothed centuries-old grievances, and emphasized the common threat they all faced. It was exhausting, frustrating work, but slowly progress was made. The alliance began to take shape, each species bringing its unique strengths to the table. As the alliance solidified, Dr. James Rodriguez and his team worked around the clock to integrate Archon technology with the Atlas AI system. The results were beyond their wildest expectations. "Atlas, run Simulation Alpha 7, Rodriguez commanded, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. The AI's smooth voice filled the lab. "Simulation complete. Based on current data and projections, the Devourers will reach our galaxy in approximately 5 years, 4 months, and 13 days. Rodriguez leaned back in his chair, the weight of this information settling over him. 5 years. It wasn't much time to prepare for a threat that had already consumed countless civilizations. But humanity had faced impossible odds before and triumphed. As he looked around at his team, human, Pakled, and now Archon scientists working side by side, he felt a glimmer of hope. They had united in the face of this threat, pooling their knowledge and resources. Perhaps together they could achieve the impossible. With rekindled dedication, Rodriguez turned back to his work. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy, hung in the balance, and he, like every member of this fledgling alliance, was determined to do his part to ensure their survival. Survival. As the gravity of the situation settled over the room, a quiet drive filled the air. The next morning, General Jack Harper stood before a vast holographic display in the newly established Allied Command Center. The room buzzed with activity as officers from Earth, Pakled Prime, and the Archon Ark coordinated their efforts. "Operation Bulwark is now in effect," Harper announced, his voice carrying across the command center. "Our priority is to establish a defensive perimeter across Allied space." The holographic display came to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Glowing points marked the locations of planned fortifications and space stations. "We have 5 years to prepare," Harper continued. "Every second counts. I want construction teams deployed to these coordinates immediately." As Harper coordinated the massive militarization effort, Dr. Alicia Reyes and Dr. Mira worked tirelessly in their lab. The air hummed with energy as they fine-tuned their latest prototype. "Initiating power-up sequence," Reyes announced, her fingers dancing across the control panel. The Pakled mineral glowed with an otherworldly light, pulsing with energy. Mira watched the readings intently, his large eyes widening as the numbers climbed. "Energy output stable," he reported. "Then we make big power now." Reyes nodded, a smile breaking across her face. "Let's see if it can fuel the Archon wormhole device." They held their breath as the energy from the mineral flowed into the alien technology. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality itself being torn apart, a shimmering portal opened before them. "We did it," Reyes whispered, her voice filled with awe. "We've created a stable wormhole." Across the galaxy, Marcus Robertson and his team emerged from the shadows of a Zoltan mining facility. Their stealth suits shimmered as they deactivated, revealing containers filled with the precious Paclid mineral. Mission accomplished, Robertson's second-in-command reported. We've secured enough mineral to power the entire defensive grid. Robertson nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. Good work, but we're not done yet. There's more going on here than simple mining operations. He gestured to a distant structure, its architecture distinctly different from the surrounding Zoltan buildings. That facility doesn't match any known Zoltan designs. We need to find out what they're hiding. As Robertson's team gathered intelligence on Zoltan military movements, Captain Sarah Hawkins stood in the cavernous central chamber of Nexus Point. The ancient space station hummed with long-dormant energy, its systems slowly coming back online. Captain! Her science officer called out, excitement evident in his voice. You need to see this. Hawkins approached the holographic display, her eyes widening as she took in the information scrolling before her. Is this what I think it is? The officer nodded. A complete database of extinct civilizations, including their technological achievements. And this? He highlighted a specific section of the data. Blueprints for a planetary shield system. Hawkins's mind raced with the possibilities. Download everything. This could be the key to defending our worlds against the Devourers. Back on Earth, Ethan Thompson faced the assembled leaders of the human Paclid Archon Alliance. The atmosphere was tense as he outlined his proposal. The Zoltan threat cannot be ignored, he stated firmly. But neither can we afford a prolonged conflict when the Devourers are approaching. I propose a diplomatic mission to the Zoltan homeworld. Murmurs of disagreement rippled through the room. An Archon representative spoke up, his liquid metal form shimmering with agitation. The Zoltans have made their hostility clear. What makes you think they'll negotiate? Thompson met the Archon's gaze steadily. Because we'll offer them something they can't refuse, a chance for survival. United, we stand a better chance against the Devourers. Divided, we all fall. As the Alliance debated Thompson's proposal, Dr. James Rodriguez and his team worked to integrate the shield technology from Nexus Point with existing planetary defenses. In a reinforced bunker deep beneath the surface of Earth, Rodriguez initiated the first test. Powering up the shield generator, he announced, his voice tense with anticipation. Energy crackled across the surface of a miniaturized Earth model. Slowly, a shimmering barrier formed around the globe, growing stronger with each passing second. Rodriguez allowed himself a moment of elation before turning to his team. It works. Now we need to scale it up to protect entire planets. In orbit above Earth, the enhanced Atlas AI system completed its analysis of the Devourer threat. General Harper studied the projected invasion scenarios with a grim expression. Atlas, begin implementation of the unified defense grid, he ordered. Coordinate with all allied fleets and installations. As Harper oversaw the positioning of defensive forces, a Zoltan battle fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a key Alliance shipyard. Without warning, they opened fire, their energy weapons tearing through the partially completed warships. Alarms blared throughout Allied space as the UESF scrambled to respond. Captain Hawkins, testing the new wormhole drive near the shipyard, found herself at the forefront of the counterattack. All hands to battle stations, she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. Prepare to engage the Zoltan fleet. The space around the shipyard erupted into the largest battle in human history. Energy weapons and missiles crisscrossed the void, punctuated by the silent explosions of destroyed ships. In the midst of the chaos, Hawkins's tactical officer shouted over the din, "Captain, the wormhole drive is fully charged." Hawkins saw an opportunity. Plot a course behind the Zoltan fleet. We're going to hit them where they least expect it. The UES horizon vanished in a flash of light, reappearing moments later in the Zoltan's rear. Caught by surprise, the Zoltan ships found themselves caught between Hawkins's attack and the rallying Alliance forces. The battle raged for hours, but ultimately the Alliance prevailed. As the last Sultan ship retreated, Hawkins surveyed the damage. The shipyard was in ruins and countless lives had been lost on both sides. In the aftermath of the attack, Ethan Thompson accelerated his plans for the Interstellar Resource Management Council. In a series of marathon negotiation sessions, he hammered out regulations for the use and distribution of critical resources. We cannot allow conflicts over resources to weaken us, he argued. Every scrap of material, every ounce of energy must be dedicated to our survival against the Devourers. As the Alliance worked to implement these new regulations, Marcus Robertson's team raced to uncover a plot by extremist factions. Their investigation led them across multiple worlds, following a trail of encrypted communications and clandestine meetings. In a hidden base on a desolate moon, Robertson confronted the leaders of the extremist group. "You're playing right into the Devourer's hands," he warned. "Every moment we fight amongst ourselves is a moment we're not preparing for their arrival." The confrontation ended in a fierce firefight, with Robertson's team narrowly preventing a coordinated attack on key Alliance facilities. As they secured the captured extremists, Robertson couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of their internal struggles. Meanwhile, on the fringes of explored space, Captain Hawkins and her crew found themselves face to face with the unknown. The accidental activation of their wormhole drive had brought them to an uncharted region of the galaxy. Before them loomed a massive station, its design unlike anything they had ever seen. As they approached, a transmission cut through the silence of space. "Unidentified vessel," a synthetic voice crackled over the comm. "You have entered synthoid space. State your purpose or be destroyed." Hawkins took a deep breath, keenly aware that her next words could mean the difference between a new alliance and a new enemy. "This is Captain Sarah Hawkins of the United Earthship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and mutual understanding in the face of a threat to all sentient life." There was a long pause before the synthoid voice responded. "Proceed to Docking Bay 3. Any hostile action will be met with immediate destruction." As the Horizon maneuvered towards the indicated bay, Hawkins turned to her crew. "Remember your training. We're making first contact with a completely unknown species. Let's show them the best of what our alliance has to offer." With tensions high and the hope of the universe hanging in the balance, the crew of the Horizon prepared to meet the synthoids. In labs and command centers across Allied space, scientists and military leaders raced against time to prepare for the coming storm. And at the edge of the galaxy, the first tendrils of the Devourer fleet began to appear, a shadow of destruction creeping ever closer. Closer, an ominous shadow against the backdrop of stars. General Jack Harper's face was grim as he surveyed the holographic display in the Allied command center. The Devourer fleet had entered the galaxy, their numbers even greater than their worst estimates. "Initiate Operation Aegis," Harper ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "All ships to their designated positions." Across Allied space, a massive fleet deployment began. Human, Pac-led, and Archon vessels moved into formation, taking up positions at strategic choke points throughout the galaxy. The ships' hulls gleamed with newly installed Pac-led mineral-based technology, a testament to the Alliance's combined efforts. Captain Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Horizon. Her crew worked with practiced efficiency, readying the ship's systems for the coming battle. "Disruptive field generators online," her chief engineer reported. "Output stable at 98% capacity." Hawkins nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Position us at the head of the vanguard. We'll be the first line of defense against those machines." As the Allied fleet moved into position, Ethan Thompson sat in a heavily shielded communications room. His fingers hovered over the controls, hesitating for just a moment before opening a channel. "Well, this is Ethan Thompson of the Human Pac-led Archon Alliance," he began, his voice echoing across the vast emptiness of space. "We request dialogue with the entities known as the Devourers." For several agonizing minutes, there was no response. Then, without warning, a harsh mechanical voice filled the room. "Organic life forms," it intoned, devoid of emotion. "Your existence is inefficient. You will be assimilated or eliminated. There is no alternative. Thompson's face paled, but he pressed on. Surely we can find a way to coexist. Our cultures, our knowledge. Irrelevant. The devourer voice cut him off. Prepare for assimilation. The communication abruptly ended. Thompson slumped in his chair, the weight of failure heavy on his shoulders. But as he reviewed the transmission data, his eyes widened. "Get me General Harper," he said urgently. "We've cracked their communication protocols." In their lab, Dr. Alicia Reyes and Dr. Mira worked feverishly, their hands flying over control panels and holographic interfaces. "Energy synchronization complete," Mira announced, his large eyes blinking rapidly. Reyes nodded, a bead of sweat rolling down her forehead. "Initiating final integration sequence." The lab hummed with power as the disruptive field generator merged with the Archon wormhole device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like thunder, a miniature wormhole sprang to life in the center of the room. "We did it," Reyes breathed, her voice filled with awe and hope. Across the galaxy, Marcus Robertson and his team moved silently through the cavernous interior of the lead Devourer ship. Their stealth suits rendered them nearly invisible, but Robertson knew they were on borrowed time. "Plant the beacons," he ordered in a hushed voice, every 30 meters along the main conduits. As his team worked, Robertson's keen eyes caught sight of a Devourer patrol. He motioned for the others to continue their work, then stepped out to draw the machine's attention. "Hey, scrap heaps," he called out, firing his weapon. "Come and get me." The Devourers turned, their metallic bodies gleaming in the ship's eerie light. Robertson ran, leading them away from his team. He knew he might not make it back, but if it meant giving the others time to complete the mission, it was worth it. In orbit around Earth, Dr. James Rodriguez coordinated with the Atlas AI, directing the planetary defense systems. "Shield integrity holding at 89%, Atlas reported. Devourer forces unable to penetrate." Rodriguez allowed himself a small smile. "Redirect power from the southern hemisphere. We need to reinforce the orbital platforms." As the battle raged, a new fleet appeared on the edge of the system. The distinctive energy signatures of Zoltan ships filled the sensors. "And this is Tsar of the Zoltan Confederation," a voice crackled over the comms. "We stand with the Alliance against the Devourer threat." Without warning, the lead Zoltan ship fired its superweapon. A beam of pure energy lanced out, striking a Devourer battle group. The machine's ships disintegrated instantly, but the nearby star system's planets were left scorched and lifeless. General Harper's face was grim as he watched the display. "A powerful ally," he muttered, "but at what cost?" Captain Hawkins's voice cut through the chaos of the command center. "General, we're in position. The Devourers are following us into the target zone." Harper nodded, his eyes never leaving the holographic display. "All ships, prepare to engage. Dr. Reyes, stand by to activate the wormhole device." In her lab, Reyes's hand hovered over the activation switch. "Device primed and ready, General." "Now," Harper ordered. Reyes slammed her hand down. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality itself tearing apart, a massive wormhole bloomed in space. It engulfed a significant portion of the Devourer fleet, the machine's ships struggling against its pull. "All ships, fire disruptive field generators," Hawkins commanded. A wave of energy washed over the trapped Devourers. Their ships began to malfunction, their matter-consuming abilities neutralized. As the machines struggled, the Alliance fleet opened fire. The space around the wormhole erupted in a dazzling display of weapons fire. Human plasma cannons, Pac-led disruptors, Archon energy lances, and Zoltan particle beams all converged on the Devourer ships. One by one, the mighty machines fell. As the last Devourer ship in the wormhole disintegrated, a cheer went up across the Alliance fleet. But the battle was nowhere near the end. The remaining Devourers, cut off from their main force, fought with increased ferocity. Captain Hawkins's voice rang out over the comms. "All ships, form up on me. We're going to end this, here and now." The Alliance fleet moved as one, their ships forming intricate patterns as they engaged the Devourers. Human pilots pulled off daring maneuvers, pack-led ships absorbed incredible amounts of damage, Archon vessels danced through space with impossible grace, and Zoltan cruisers unleashed devastating energy barrages. Hour after grueling hour, the battle raged. Ships on both sides fell, but slowly, inexorably, the Alliance gained the upper hand. As the last Devourer ship fell to a final volley from Hawkins' flagship, a deafening cheer erupted across every Allied vessel. In the aftermath of the battle, as damage reports flooded in and rescue operations began, General Harper received a transmission from the edge of the system. "General Harper," a synthetic voice said, "this is the Synthoid Collective. We have observed your victory over the Devourers. We request permission to send a delegation to discuss joining your alliance." Harper allowed himself a small smile. Even in the wake of such destruction, new hope was blooming. "Permission granted," he replied. "Welcome to the galactic community." As the Alliance began the long process of rebuilding, a new era dawned. The United Species Council took shape with Ethan Thompson at its head. Dr. Reyes led a team to study the Devourer remnants, while General Harper and Captain Hawkins worked to establish an interstellar peacekeeping force. The galaxy had been forever changed, and humanity stood at the center of it all. As the sun rose on this new age of cooperation, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, full of promise and possibility.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.